Hello.
Hey, hello.
We're just
Hello,
waiting
baby.
2 more minutes and then we're gonna start. Thank you
Yeah,
for joining.
2 more minutes. Oh, Miss Ananike Panky.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey,
Hey, dear. Thanks for
hey
joining.
girl.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good.
Thanks for joining. Somebody
Um,
with iPhone. Your name is iPhone. Thanks for joining. I don't know who that person is.
All
Chichi.
right.
Thanks for joining, Chichi.
Mm.
Nice to see you. Hey, ID is
Hi,
joining.
how are you?
We're starting in 1 more minute, I believe. 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes.
Hey, my sis is joining. Oh, Peace, thanks for joining. Oh, Sister Peace. Sister Peace from Nigeria. Thank you. God
Oh
bless
wow.
you.
Nice. Wow.
thank
Wow,
you.
all the way from
Hi.
Nigeria. Thank you, Ma. God bless
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
My sister, Olayemi Tokunbo Salako. Wow, thank you for joining. Love you, baby. Esther, thanks for joining.
All right. We're about to start in 1 more minute. So we're waiting for a few people to join in. Everybody that has joined already from here, the state, Nigeria, we want to welcome you. Thank you so much for joining. Right. Okay, Wanu, it's 8:05, shall we?
Yes.
Yes, we shall.
All right, thank you. I am so excited to be here tonight. And as your moderator, my name is Stefania on behalf of TouchLink. And TouchLink is very, very, very close to my heart. So it's an organization for domestic violence. So I want to welcome you all tonight. We're gonna have the wonderful Dr. Timeto P. Adukoya. So we welcome you here in the panel. And before we go ahead and let me introduce TouchLink for those of you who does not know. TouchLink been around over the last 6 years, and this year it's our sixth annual work. But because of COVID, clap for that. Because of COVID, we going virtually. As you know, everything is doing virtually. So TouchLink it's been like I say, it's a domestic violence organization that provide a range of services, including counseling, individual safety plan. We provide support group every third Thursday. You could come on the line. We provide support group or any other support that you need. We have referral services. We provide workshop, advocacy, and community outreach. And we even have a 24/7 hotline. If you ever in need, feel free to call us. I will share the number a little bit later. And TouchLink support. The motto of TouchLink, we support, we uplift, we empower of the victim of domestic violence. And as you all know, so October we celebrate all the victim of domestic violence. We provide support, and for that we need your support. Okay, so I'm gonna need everyone to donate, and if you have not done so, we're gonna donate tonight. Okay, as the whole, we today it's the 19th. We still have a few 2 weeks left in the month, so to donate and touch tank to be able to provide all those services. So we're gonna introduce a video right after this. We're gonna play a video. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Yewande Efodili, and I am a survivor of domestic violence. It started 3 months after I came to the United States of America to join my ex-husband with my 2-year-old daughter. It became very physical. Even before it became physical, it started with verbal abuse, and then it graduated to emotional and mental abuse, and then it became physical. There was no access to money or food, and it was very torturing. It was very torturing. There was no one to call. I didn't have anybody's phone number then. And it was just a tough period of my life. One day, he was beating me, and my daughter came to stop him. He pushed my daughter, and he started beating both of us. That was when I called the police. The police came over. They wanted him out of the house. But I said no. I told them I would leave instead. We were on the streets of Newark. It was dark. It was cold. There was no one to call. There was nowhere to go to. Eventually, I found a number. One of the friends he had introduced to me, she came to pick us up. We were there for a few days, and I later found out that she was his girlfriend. I didn't see any indication that I'd become abusive. We grew up together. It was nice. I know his family. I know his sister was actually my best friend until he became a monster, until he became very physical with me. TouchLink was conceived from the Bible school I went to. The final assignment was to use a personal experience to create an impact in the lives of other people. I am filled with a passion to help others. No man, no woman, no child should endure this for any reason. Join us in making a difference. Thank you.
Wow. I don't know how many times I have seen this video, and every time it gives me chill out. So again, thank you. It's a very emotional video. And as a survivor myself, so we all have a story related at some point. Again, whoever just joining, this is Torchlight 6 annual work. Woo-hoo! So we welcome you. We welcome you. I'm so happy. I see Jennifer Martin. Thank you from Filton Bank. Thank you for being online. Thank you so much for your support. Again, we have a wonderful doctor, Dr. Temi Topi Adokoya, who's going to share her story. And also, please, not only we're going to listen to the story of Dr. Topi, but also please know we really need your support. We need your support. Please spread the word. We are at least 20, 30 people on the line right now. Spread the word, donate. Please, we need your support to continue uplifting all the victims of domestic violence. Doctor, you could start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. If you don't mind, I prefer not to be called doctor outside of the work environment. So I'm just Tope.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
sorry. It's just it's a strange personal preference, but it makes me feel better. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's really an honor and a privilege to actually be invited. Thank you so much, Dickiness Wendy, for giving me this
Can we read
opportunity.
the bio? I'm sorry, Sister Stephanie, can we read the bio?
Oh, okay.
Sorry, let's read the bio because I want people to really hear the bio because this is somebody that through pain, she was still in school, she did so much. So can we read the bio, please?
Yes, if you, I don't think I have the bio here. If you can just send it to me,
Okay,
I, I don't.
okay, give me 1 second now.
Yes, that's very. In the meantime, please, TouchLink been here for 6 years, and this year, every year in October, we get together. We go by the Woodbridge Town Hall. We do our annual walk. So this year, because of COVID, we are unable to go and march and do the walk, domestic violence walk. But that does not stop us to still do the fundraising because we rely on the donation to because when the woman or man are victim of domestic violence to give them the support that they need, because as I told you before, we provide counseling, we provide individual safety plan, we provide support group, we provide referral, and we do workshop and advocacy. And for all this, we need funds to be able to do all this. So we really rely on your
I'm good.
donation tonight. And also, I would love for you to put your phone, if you're not speaking or asking any question, to put the phone on mute, please, as we're gonna present Topi. Um,
Okay, I think you see, she's very private and also she doesn't like she has so many accolades, but really she must have prayed tonight because she really doesn't want her resume to be read because she has so many accolades. For some reason I couldn't find it, but I will tell you that Temitope Odukoya, she is actually a doctor. She's a dentist by profession, and she's the assistant professor of oral medicine at the University of Pennsylvania. And she recently got her PhD. Actually, last year, she got her PhD also in oral medicine. So I just want us to welcome her and listen to her story. It is a true story, and it is something that a lot of us can gain. I mean, all of us can gain a lot from her story. So let's pay attention. If you have question while she's talking, just put your question in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Please allow me make reference to God a lot as I talk. So please just allow me do that because um, my story is not complete without that as well. So I got married about 11 years ago after like a 2.5 year courtship to somebody that I think when I started courtship, I was in my fifth year of medical dental school in Nigeria. And I got married to this person that, I thought was quiet. I was a church girl, bookworm, daddy's girl, never really had any experiences of life like that. And I got married to this person after a 2.5 year courtship. And well, he was supposed to be a quiet person. I thought I knew him for a while because we kind of were raised in the same church family or in the same church. I am a professor's daughter as well, so we kind of grew up on the university campus. And so this is somebody that we went to the same community church on campus, and you would think, okay, our fathers kind of know each other and things like that. We got married, and at the I really, because people ask me questions like, when did you start seeing the red flags? And I have to say, the more I think about it, the more I believe I saw the red flags a few months before marriage, but I didn't realize they were red flags. And he wasn't physically violent to me in any way, but there were just some things that, I'm like, I don't understand this. But it wasn't we went through counseling, premarital counseling, 16 weeks counseling, somewhere weeks counseling, not because we had problems, but because I really wanted to be well prepared for marriage. Anyway, fast forward, I got married, and I think it was actually, so we were fighting up until, we were having disagreements up until the wedding dates, just on, and we spoke to counselors who said the reasons for our disagreements was more of wedding plans bringing conflict, or maybe just pressure for, like feeling a little worried about getting married. So anyway, we got married. I remember, we had to force him for me to have a honeymoon, even though he could afford it and all of those things. And by the last day of honeymoon, which was a very short period of time together, it was already like I went back home and I was in tears, and I remember going back to my parents' house to pick up, because we traveled and we came back, and I had to go pick up a few more things from my parents' house that night. And leaving my parents' house, like I was in tears. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but I was in tears. But I didn't realize that I hadn't even seen anything yet. So we verbal abuse started, emotional abuse started very early. I mean, like I said, very, very early, within the first month. So we had said something like, I wanted to go to school and continue my education. And because of that, we were not going to get pregnant. I was very I didn't know how not to get pregnant. I married a virgin and all of that. And well, I found myself pregnant in 1 month of marriage. And you would think for a couple that are expecting their first child, that would be a lot of excitement. But that was really that was when the nightmare really started. So I got pregnant, and it was in my early pregnancy that the physical abuse started. My pregnancy was troublesome by itself. I was threatening at the beginning, in my first few months. And imagine being beaten, with all of that. I just I couldn't understand what was going on, and I couldn't say anything. And all I wanted to do was, at that point, I just felt it was too early. I started asking myself if there was anything wrong with me, and anyway, so many times, something will happen. I'll either be locked out of the house, or, left in church, because I couldn't drive, I couldn't do a lot of things in pregnancy because I was threatening. So I was in the hospital a lot. And when I came back, it was just tough. I had to stay in my parents' house for a while because of the way things were going in the house. Finally, I had my son, and, my grandmom came to stay with me, and my grandmom saw a lot more of he wasn't physically violent to me when my grandmom was in the house, but he was very emotionally abusive, and my grandmom saw it. I didn't say anything for a long time, because I didn't even know what to say. You just try and cover it, think the best of it and everything. And on one specific day, because I was heavily pregnant before I had my son, I stopped working. I was supposed to I was doing my house job. For those, it's like a 1-year GPR. And when at the end of my 1-year GPR, I was supposed to go for service, but because I was heavily pregnant, I couldn't, go for service. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, "Why do you have to do anything? Why do you have to work? I can take care of you." So he said to me, "I can take care of you. Why don't you just stay home?" And because I really didn't have a choice, I was transferred to the north at that time, northern part of Nigeria, and I'm from the western part of Nigeria. I couldn't travel because I was like 8 months pregnant then. And so he said I should stay home, not work. And I did. And so I had my son, and that was just like, already physical violence was there. And now I was now not empowered again because I wasn't working. And I remember on one occasion after I'd had my son, he came home from work. Of course, I was now doing everything, taking care of the baby. The house was expected to be perfectly clean. If I actually remember coming back from the hospital, because I had my baby by cesarean session. And after I had my baby, I came home and I was put to work immediately. So I had to start because I was trying to not be in a situation where I'll be hit again. I was trying to just, do things in the house. And I remember I had like a reinfection and the opening of my point of cesarean session, just from lifting and doing things I was asked not to do at the hospital. And, even though I felt like I was doing my best, then now I tell people now I can say everything, but then I couldn't talk much. I was just soak it all in, not say too much. And anyway, he came back from home this one day. I'd done everything, cooked, cleaned the house, made sure the baby was fine. And he just came back and he was just snappy. And it was just something like nothing. Like he came in and he was snappy and, well, maybe sometimes we blame ourselves. Maybe I shouldn't have said this. But I just kind of said to him, did you have a fight with anyone? Please now, don't take it out on us at home, was what I said. And, like film trick, he went to bed and then I was just sitting by the bed, baby was sleeping. I was just sitting by the bed doing some studying and he just, kind of opened his eyes and he was like, you're not sleeping on this side of the bed tonight. And I'm like, I don't understand. I had a 10-pound baby, and he was asking, well, long story short, nothing, like no fights before, nothing, I just said, So I said, are you not going to listen to me? Leave the bed, leave my room. From leave my room, I thought he was joking. So I'm like, why would I leave out? Why would you be asking me to leave my matrimonial room? From leave my room, it became leave the house. And I got the beating of my life. He went to the kitchen. He went to get I don't know what to call it, but like this spatula-like stick that you used to cook, to make swallow foods in Nigeria. And he went to the kitchen, he got it, and he beat. I was hit for 1 hour continuously, thrown down from the bed. At this point, my phones were seized. I couldn't contact anyone. And this went on for 1 hour, and it ended up with him pulling a knife at me. And that happened. And after like an hour, I had to now go on my knees, start begging, because I couldn't leave the house. He wouldn't let me go out of the house. And, now it was a very scary night. I couldn't call anyone. In the morning, he gave me back my phone and he said to me, he refused to go to work the next morning. So the plan I had, because we were living in this modern homes in Nigeria where, they have narrow spaces. So my car was parked right in front of him and I couldn't come out of the parking lot except he pulled out. And I was waiting for him to pull out, which he did not do. But thank God he gave me my phone. All night while he was asleep, I was packing my bags to leave the house. Long story short, you think that's the end of it. She learned her lesson, and she lived happily ever after. I left the house at that time for 7 months. And he came to beg my family, went for counseling, everything. We came back together. And we moved to the US after that together. And I came then for school. So I from Nigeria, applied to school here and I was able to get a residency here. So I came for my residency. He joined me 6 months after. And, things were bad in Nigeria, but it became even worse here. I think for me in Nigeria, there was parental support. So, the parental support, when it was taken out of it, became worse. And of course, now there was a child involved and all of that. When we moved, I had started working then, but then when I moved to the US, because I am foreign trained, I couldn't be on a stipend like my other colleagues who had trained here in the US. So again, I was now in another situation where again I was financially dependent on him. His work was moved here from Nigeria because I got to school here, so his job transferred him here. He was doing well, but despite the fact that he was doing well, I was living in poverty. Like he would, people could not understand. They would see both of us step out. He was the Mr. GQ, and I was like, he would shop in the Macy's and all, and I couldn't, like, I was struggling to buy things in secondhand stores. And he just, so financially he was, so I went through, I'm trying to summarize the story, and I'm just looking for what's very important. So it went from mental, emotional, physical abuse to sexual abuse in marriage to financial abuse. And, it was just abuse on every form. I went through significant self-esteem issues. I was isolated from family and friends. My mom, though, after the first incident of a knife being pulled at me, she would call me every day because she was calling me once in a while to check in on me then, but I didn't say anything to her, and she was just worried for me from then. So she would call me every day, and that became an issue. Like, why would your mom check on you every day? When he stopped supporting us financially here, it became an issue for him. Because my parents now had to, for our son to go to school, my parents had to send money, to me, even though he was earning like a 6-figure salary, but I had no access to the money. And my parents started supporting me, and that was a problem for him when he found out. And things went for the worst. And again, here in the US, where there was no family buffer per se, on another day, my son and I got locked out of the house. And, it was a cold day. We were in an apartment, and thank God I had a good church community. So I didn't have to be on the streets because somebody came in after about 6 hours and took us in, my son and I. I think my son was about 2 or 3 then. And they took us in. Well, this was like the 4th time now, separation and coming back together. And after that, suffice it to say, he still came to beg. I was then now trying to pick up my life, was on welfare. I was still in school at that time. I was doing my residency. And finally, I took him in again. Then he was now living in our house. But then I made sure, like, he was paying child support at that point and all. And because he did not want to pay child support, he left his job. And of course, when he left his job, I had started my PhD, and I was being told things like, well, before I started my PhD, I finished my residency. And when I finished my residency, I picked up the PhD for 2 reasons. One was that I didn't know what else to do, in that I knew I needed financial stability to be able to take care of my son. And because I did not have the US credentials to practice in the US, even though I was, even though I was a dentist, because I was foreign trained, I didn't have the credentials to move on to practice in the US. And so one day he said to me, why are you going to do a PhD? And I said, I don't have any other means of getting a job, and I don't want to have troubles finding a job. And he said to me, well, your mates are sweeping, so you to go pick up a sweeping job. And I thank God, I don't know why, but at this point, I was still isolated, and everything. But I guess my self-esteem was so much down that, like, I just had to prove to myself I was worth something. And I was given this opportunity for a full scholarship. Well, not full scholarship. My first 2 years I had to pay, but my last 3 years I was going to be on scholarship and I was going to get stipend. And even though it was just like really little money, I think 15,000 a year then, I was happy to take it. You know, it was going to bring income at least for me and my son to be a little independent. And of course, because he was not, he was now not working, he was at home. It was it was just it was terrible at that point. So I was going to school, coming back home on eggshells. Before I left the house, breakfast and lunch had to be prepared. I came back, dinner had to be ready. So those were terms of and conditions for me to be able to continue with my PhD. And that period, it just got worse and worse. And yeah, a lot happened in that season. Suffice it to say, finally, one day I came back home. Again, my phones had been seized. And usually it's like a plot all the time. Once my phones are seized, I know something else is coming. And this was a home. I mean, at this point, this was a house that I had rented. I was paying the rent for it. He came and moved in, after the first separation in the US. So I was there in the house paying rent. At that point, he had now left his job. So I was paying rent, paying utility with my 1,500 a month, with my parents' support and, all I could just, do to support my son. He wouldn't even take care of him, because he didn't have to be in school. And I had to do the drop off, pick up, everything, so I was doing everything and I wasn't complaining because I just had to keep saying to myself, I'm worth something. And one day I got back home and he had started locking me out of the room. And so I was sleeping in in my son's room. And that had been happening for weeks on end. And I got home one day and he smashed my back screen, what do you call it? The rear of my car, the window at the rear of my car. And at that point, I'm like, okay, if it's the window and it's not me, I will come home and I'll be afraid. I didn't know what else to do. So I'll lock myself and my son in the room. And one day I got home, a lot of things had happened. Sometimes I'll just come home, my passport, my certificates would, have been seized, different things were happening. And that day I came back home and I was so scared because I got home and he had removed the lock from my son's room and he had changed the lock in the bedroom where he was and he had removed the lock from my son's room. So there was no lock. And I saw that the house had been searched. At that point, I know I got home and I was scared. Like I had pins and needles all over me. I went to bed that night and I was really scared. But I woke up in the morning. Again, like I said, my phone had been seized. A friend of mine actually came to me and she was like, are you okay? We've been trying to reach you for like 2 days. We haven't been able to reach you. My cousin too, who is a lawyer and I had kind of been talking to, and I didn't realize he was eavesdropping on some of the conversations we were having. But there was some other long story. The long and short of the story that day was that I left the house. My neighbor had to call the police for me the next morning. I'd been locked in to the house. He had broken my wrist, he pulled back like 2 or 3 of my fingers backwards. And so I had a ligament tear. And I was not allowed to leave the house in that state. So I was in pain and I was not allowed to leave. So I was I had to stay by the window and, cry for help. And my neighbor apparently had been hearing things happen in the house. So my neighbor, who was on his way from work, called the police. This was like 7 a.m. in the morning. And it was at that point that I said to myself, enough is enough. I've tried to cut the story short, even though it's too long. And at that point, I said to myself, at first I was speaking lies to myself, my son needs his dad and all of that. But at this point, I was just like, I cannot watch my son grow up in this. you know. I did not call it what it was. I just thought, okay, maybe he's angry, maybe he's having, but at that point I had to call it what it was. I'm like, this is abuse, and until I named the problem, I didn't get out of it. So when I named it and said, listen, this is what it is, because sometimes is this abuse? No, it doesn't happen every day, all that kind of nonsense. Until I named it and said, this is abuse. That was when I'm like, you know what? Anything outside of here is better than being in this. And that day, I remember I went to work. I mean, I was still in my PhD. I think I was in my second or third year. I went to work with my broken arm and with tears in my eyes. I mean, the police had come and they didn't arrest him because when they came, I was the crazy one because I was, like hysterical and everything. And he was just calm. Like, why are you here? Who called you? What's the problem? Do you see anything? See any violence? Wow. So I was a crazy girl. And I mean, at least they got me out of there. And that was how I was, saved and out of there. And yeah, so that started the journey of my redemption. And at that point, I said to myself, enough is enough. This was the 5th time in 5 years of marriage that, I had to be out of the house. And it was 7 months separation, 6 months separation, not for little things, but like for huge, huge things. And I just asked myself, like, how long would you have to go over and over again and start life again? And I mean, of course, I was very afraid. I was very, very afraid, to start all over again. I think in that few months after I left, I met Dickiness one day. Actually, she came to an event in church, a Total Women conference that we had in church. And then I was still very confused. I was numb. That's the word. I was so I couldn't, the level of pain I'd felt was such that I couldn't feel my emotions anymore. I was just numb. I was going to work. And so during that period, I filed for protection from abuse. And, I didn't have a lawyer. Of course, I didn't have too much money. I filed for protection from abuse. And they gave him the 30-day or 3 months, banishing without a hearing, whatever that is. And then after that, we went back to court and they said he didn't try and violate anything. I didn't know what the law was or laws were. So, I was just going unrepresented and they reverted the protection from abuse. And the day they took away the protection from abuse, I was in church with my son that evening. He came to church and he took away my son for 5 weeks. And nobody knew where they were. My son was just 4 at that time. And for me, like all the fighting I was doing, all the working I was doing, everything I was living for, the only reason I was living at that time was because of my son. And so you can imagine my world was shattered. I went to court. I went to file for emergency child custody, and they won't give because they said both of us have access to the child. There was no custody in place. And it wasn't until 5 weeks later, when there was now a proper hearing, that I could have any access to my son at all. And well, it's been, so that this happened in 2014. And I have to say that, just looking back down the line, that decision I made then was the best decision ever. That was the best decision I ever made. Since then, my life had only just seen more stability. I had more focus. And I just wanted to say that, the healing process for me is continuous. It's still till now. Some things happen again and they're triggers and everything. I mean, people look at me and they say, she's doing well, she's successful and everything. That one is the story of God's grace and favor. I look and I say, I had to keep reminding God, if you don't, after my PhD, if you don't open the door, like, I don't know, my son and I couldn't survive. So, things have gotten better. Things have become so beautiful down the line. But the healing process continues. And then people ask questions like, how do you co-parent? with someone that the only word I can use to describe him is he's a narcissist. So the typical, I don't have to describe it. We talked about narcissism last week. So the typical characteristic of a narcissist is who he is. So the fact that, they're not happy and they don't want to see others happy. So they keep, so I ask myself, is the story over? No, because like, even though he has no access to my life directly again, he keeps trying to use, like, I mean, after the initial, I having full custody, full fiscal and legal custody, he went away for 2 years, went to school, and came back, to ask for rights as a father. And they just felt like, he's the father of the child, he's going to improve himself. Most people want their kids in their fathers in their life. Why wouldn't you give him access? What the court system did not know was that he wasn't trying to really be in the life of the child. He was just trying to use the child to get at me, you know. I did file for divorce before I started my job, because already was trying to lay claim to the little things I had, even though like he made sure we had nothing together, which today I'm thankful for, I filed for divorce. I didn't ask for anything from him. I not even child custody, child support. No, I didn't ask for anything from him. I just wanted to be out of that situation. One of the things that people like that know, they know how to use systems to, manipulate, get, like, so many times I live in a nice neighborhood where everything is peaceful, but then I'm the only one with police activity around my house, because he calls the police, for nothing. He will refuse to show up, and then the next thing, police is at my door, but I have come to the point where I'm unfazed, like, it does things. And before I went through blood pressure, oh, I forgot to say this story. So I moved into my house a few years back, and the level of the numbness of my pain, one day I was just going through so much internal pressure, and I tried to more, I was like, one of the things I do, because I do a lot of mental work, I'm an educator, and I'm a clinician, and I'm an educator. I also do research. So I do a lot of mental work. And so sometimes to diffuse the pressure that I feel with dealing with someone like this as well, I try and do physical stuff. So this time around, I went out of my, I have a large yard, and I went out to mow my lawn, and the lawnmower went over my foot and cut off my big toe. And one of the things I would never forget is EMS coming over to my house and them saying to me, "We need to give you something for pain." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't need anything for pain." And they were like, "Do you realize what has happened?" I'm like, "Yes, my toe is off." And I was there 9 hours with nothing for pain. Why? Because my pain sensors had shut down completely.
Wow.
Because of the trauma. Like I said, I tried to not say too much. Not like I tried to not say too much, but I try to summarize, because we won't live here if I go into the details of the story. But yeah, so one of the things was that my body shut down to be able to cope with the pain. And the only way I would know I was in pain was that my blood pressure would be high. And along the line, I have wonderful people around me that God just sent the network of these ladies to me that had been like my support group. They were there when I needed help with my son and I needed to take exams and things like that. They were there to tell me what I was feeling, like, because I couldn't process my thoughts. So they tell me when I begin to somatize, they tell me, "You're going, like, okay, walk back. What happened? What challenges happened, or what experiences do you have in the past few days?" Before I identify what my triggers are. And at that point, somebody says to me, "Jesus and therapy," you know, and I I don't underestimate the grace, because I tell people, and I started sharing my story, and that brought me closer to healing. Um, I didn't do therapy for a long time because I tried therapy and I would just cry and cry. I'm like, this is not sustainable, please. You know, I would do two or three, two. I remember my first session of therapy was 2 sessions. And I'm like, forget it. I'm not doing this because I would just sit in my office and I would cry and I would cry and I would cry. And I said to myself, nope, this is not productive. So, I mean, two things. People medicate when they go through pain in different ways. Some people with drugs, some people with sex, like relationships, work, and all of that. I medicated with my work. Okay, it did yield results, but I would say that um, that did not help me heal. Okay, most of the time we just feel like, just shake it off, move on,
Wow,
you know,
wow,
be
wow,
you.
wow,
But
wow.
no, that doesn't help you heal. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I think
All right.
yeah, I'm out of time.
Oh wow, oh wow, wow, wow. That is your story. It's so similar to mine in so many ways, studying. We seen the red flag, but we think that is it's gonna change, or we think that we are the one that's not doing what we're supposed to do. And and I was pregnant. It happens to me 10 years ago, exactly the same. It started with being emotional, physical, and I have to move out of my own comfort, of my own home. And your story bring hope. Our story bring hope. And this is why TouchNet is existed. So just for someone, I know there's people on this line, on this Zoom meeting, or probably gonna listen to it later, and it's gonna feel related. And when they see you right now, or accomplish you are, even though you don't want the title as a doctor, I am so proud of you. And I see you deserve a big clap for all you have gone to. And trust me, I have
Mhm.
gone to the same thing. I know how it is, and until now, I still the pain is still here. It's not gonna go away the tomorrow morning. It takes time, and women or men, enough is enough.
Mm.
Enough is enough. And
Yes.
know that you could lose everything, all the material, and do it again. And you are a woman that wears so many hats, and kudos to you. We are proud. We thank you for your testimony. I have a few questions. So, listening to your story, and I seen that you have gone back. This is normal, don't get me wrong. And it's okay because it happened. And I remember when I called the cops on my own ex-husband, at the minute I had a second thought. And even the cop, they realize it and they say no. They don't want to stop me. They say no. So as women, because we don't know what's gonna happen, especially if the person is the one taking care of everything. So we don't know what's gonna happen to us. We don't want that. So it's okay to come back. Don't blame yourself for being back to him 5 times. But right now, you have a peace of mind, and God has started, it will finish. Okay, you have total peace in Jesus' name. So I seen that you have gone 5 times to him. So what made you leave finally?
Finally. Yeah. One of the things that I tell people is it's not like if people it's when a woman, the power of a woman's decision. When people around you are telling you what to do. So I tell people now, if somebody is in a domestic abuse situation, you can advise them, but you can't force them to do anything. You know, when a woman makes up her mind, so a woman loves and she makes accommodation, but there's one thing we don't understand. We don't understand the power of a made up mind. For me, I knew it. I was either gonna die there, because so many times I felt my life ebb out of me, like it's either I was going through panic attacks, I was going through blood pressure, I was, like my head was hit on the wall, things like that. And I knew that I would either die or leave, as in like I had to make a choice to leave basically.
Okay.
At some point I felt like, okay, I'll just be the sacrificial lamb. But one day I just said to myself, why? And one of the things I kept saying to myself was that Jesus died for me already. I don't have to die for anyone.
Yes.
And that was one of the things I said to myself.
Yes.
And at that point, I'm like,
Yes.
the price had been paid. I did not have to pay that. I didn't have to pay with my blood for anyone. Yeah.
Yes. And I
Thank
hope
you.
that someone will listen to that and know that you cannot be. You don't have to be the sacrificial lamb. God, Jesus came and he had died for you. Okay, don't kill yourself over that. Enough is enough. I have one question from the chat group, and the question is: have you forgiven your ex-husband? Hmm.
Well, I would say, so for me, I tell people that it's a daily process of forgiving, because, you can say, I mean, I have to say, there were days I had to confess it because I'm serious. I prayed he would die at some point. I'm being very
You're
truthful.
not the only one. Trust me.
I'm
I said
serious.
the same thing.
I did that at some point. And then, at some point, and I love the way God speaks to me. He said, I was reading my Bible one day, and, I read the scripture that said he was not interested in the death of a sinner, not verbatimly, but that was the explanation, that came to me. Um, and I had to start confessing it daily. I forgive this person. I forgive this person. So, like, I have to say to myself that it's a daily work of forgiveness, because I say I forgive him and then he does something again. So these are not things of the past, right? These are things that keep happening. I mean, of course, not to the degree that it happened anymore, because I've made him realize that he doesn't have power over me. But one of the things about narcissists and controllers is that they don't like to lose power. So every time they feel like they're losing power, they do something else to kind of, they
Yeah.
don't like the loss of control thing.
Yeah.
And so I have to deal with that constantly in different ways. So I have to keep reminding. So I've gotten to the point where I just look at those things and I laugh. Like sometimes it's emails, sometimes it's just the police, at my door for
That's a
nothing.
good thing. That's a good thing. You gotta laugh out of it. You know what
Oh
I had
yeah.
make you cry a few years back now, but that's a source of therapy. So like you say,
Yeah.
you don't have to go to a therapist. That's a
Yeah.
source, right, DY? We laugh
Yes,
out
you're
of it.
correct. Yeah,
Yes,
that's a
and
therapy.
I
Let
have
me say
laughed out of
something.
it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
allow me to say something. Temi Tokpe, wow, your story is so, dumbfounding. Oh my God, we know you really went through a lot. But there's a trending topic, especially with some of us survivors and single parents. How do you do it? How do you do your work as a doctor, PhD holder, assistant professor, and raising your son? How do you do it? Because I'm sure I have a lot of women out there that wants to know. It's very challenging for some of us, especially regarding mentorship. There's no father figure anywhere. Can you just advise us on that?
Yeah. So for me, one of the things that I've done, and I have to say, in the whole process, I was more intentional about my son early than I was about myself. So early, I made sure my son went to therapy, was part of what I did, and Christian therapy, and like he was like a father figure, a man. I've also made sure that he's connected. So I have friends that are, proper family setting, right? Mother, father, kids in a well-loved environment. And I have him spend a lot of time with them so that he sees what a normal family setting looks like. And he sees what is called normal. So I mean, with him, I used to be very intentional. I will, we did a lot of, so like we have my son enjoy mom and son dates. So we do our mom and son dates. He's now 10, he's a big boy now, but from I think like the age of 7 thereabout, we started mom and son dates where, and I mean, I do both. I don't, one of the things that we do sometimes as single parents is we spoil our kids. And that's really not, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that they don't want repeat patterns, and then you equip them properly to be able to handle life well. So I'm a children's teacher at church, and I think that helped me, and I speak out. So if I see anything, like I have people, like if he does anything he knows, I report him to some specific people, and he doesn't want to be reported, but there are people that are like people he respects, and he doesn't want them to think, lowly of him. So because of that, he self-corrects a lot. I mean, I show him love, like a lot, but then I balance it with good discipline, so that
Uh,
where he's not lost in anything. Yeah.
okay.
Thank
I
you.
have a three-part questions. The first question is that's something that I myself personally I struggle every year. It's Father's Day, being a single mom now. So, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people on the line that's going to the same thing with their children on Father's Day. This is a big thing. And the second question is, if you know what you know now, like, before, would you act differently? Would you be able to, because we know we saw the red flag, but we're trying to wash it away. Would you act differently? And the third part of the question, the big one, love. Do you still believe in love? Do you think like there's someone out there that gonna be the right one, that will respect you, love you as the Bible say?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start from the first question. One of the things that I do is that, when it comes to Father's Day, it took me a long time, but now, like for the first time, actually, I have to be very proud of myself. For the first time this year, he wanted to buy a Father's Day gift for his dad, and I paid for it. you know, and I said, yeah, like whatever the case is still your dad. So I let him go spend Father's Day with his dad, but then I know
Wow.
that his dad is not a good example of a dad to him. So I still make sure he has father figures in his life that, I check in on him constantly. The second question, sorry, I can't remember what the second question was.
If you knew what you know now, would you act differently?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like, yeah,
Would
the
you
truth is
recognize the red flag right away?
absolutely. Well, I would say that it's a fine balance to it. Because sometimes, like, I used to laugh at myself. I said, don't, I now have a suspicious spirit. you know, like you, I look at everything with microscope eyes, like I scrutinize, things a lot. And, for me, for the longest time, I really was not open to love again. Like when I saw a man, I did not even like, I didn't want to hear the word man. It kind of even affected me in the workplace where, and I work in an Ivy League school where, people are kind of always trying, okay, let me not say too much. But I mean, I work in a competitive environment, let me put it that way.
Mhm.
And so sometimes when people were just being competitive, I took it personal. I thought it was a personal attack on me. And I had to learn that, everything is not about me. Get over yourself, and I, started walking through the journey of healing. So it's a good balance. Now you recognize the red flags. Now I know what a narcissist is. I say it, like even sometimes, like I sometimes when people love too much, I don't know how to say it. No, if their love is stalking, do you understand? Like they love you so much, you can't, like they don't give you your space. Like, when on a good day, if women will say, oh, that's so nice. Yeah, obsessive love, thank you. I don't like, there's so many little signs like that I see. So I wasn't open to love for a long time. I have to say, maybe last year actually, I started opening myself, I had to walk through with God and say it was okay for me to divorce and get remarried. I guess I was in religious spirit for a while.
Yeah, I
And when
know.
I yeah, when I actually, and I'll recommend this. One of the books that I read at that time, I remember Dickie one day, I asked her that question
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
point, and she sent me a lot of materials. And again, I read the book by Kenneth Hagin. I think you also recommended it, The
Mm.
Love, Marriage, and Remarriage by Kenneth E. Hagin. Yeah, and that's a book that, I mean, like if you're bound by religious spirits, you know, I mean, that's a book for you to read,
Okay,
and for me, yeah.
I have another question. Actually, it's two. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The topic it's so good, and we have some. We got in Father's Day. You say you send your son, you buy gift for the dad. Like in my personal question, what happened is the dad he doesn't want to have anything with the child. So on Father's
Children.
Day, and I have gone to DY and cry every Father's Day. I hate
Mm,
that day. It's a day that
mm,
if I can erase on off the calendar, I'll do so.
yeah.
It's very
Mm,
difficult as a single mom. So what do you
yeah.
do? And the second question regarding the mentor, still about the child, how do you pick the mentor for your child? What are the characteristics that you pick the mentor for your child?
Yeah.
Can I answer
So
the question?
yes,
Sorry, can
please.
I answer the question about the Father's Day? I mean, we've done this during our counseling sessions together. It's always good to look for father figure for your children and prepare them ahead of time to get gifts for those people, for those men that have been in their life, that have been instrumental, people that are always checking on them, people that take them out for things. I mean, there's so many instrumental men that really mentors them. So I always direct their attention to that. And of course, we get gifts for those that and we celebrate them. So that
Yeah.
has, and I also, another thing I do on Father's Day, I do like is a Mother's Day because I said to them, I wear two hats. I'm a dad, I'm a
Hmm.
mom.
And a
So
mom.
That's
we
true.
Yes.
we have double
But
Yes.
I kind of
celebration.
feel offended when people tell me Happy Father's Day. It kind of make me more sad. I don't know. Maybe it's something has to do with me, or maybe God has to help me. It make me more sad when someone is telling me Happy Father's Day. I'm not a man, and I feel like, why do I have to go to this? Why me? It's really hard. It's really, really hard. And yesterday, it's even harder. Yesterday was my wedding anniversary, and it's like going to all this. It's like a bunch of
Yeah.
emotion, but enough is enough. Enough is enough. One
You know
one
how you
question.
can heal? I'm sorry, Stefania, how you can heal out of that? You need to prepare your mind like that guy is dead. Like for real. Like I have my husband that passed, right? So if you put your mind like he's dead and also try to forgive, it's really very, I know it's tough, it's a process, but that helps a lot. But always think like he's dead. So if you know that he's dead, it will be easier for you to let go wedding anniversary. How many times will you be celebrating or remembering wedding anniversary of the person that's dead?
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. That's a good one. From now on, we bury him. Yes. No
Go
more.
ahead. Yeah.
Yes. One last question
No,
to
let
end.
Tope answer the question. She didn't answer the second
Oh,
question.
sorry. 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 The
Sorry.
second
So
question.
the second I'm sorry, I keep running out of what was so what I remember actually that I wanted to say was about the Father's Day thing. What was your first question again? I'm sorry. About
The
Father's Day.
like, what are the characteristics to
What are the
find
characteristics?
a
Yeah.
mentor?
So I look at for me, I look at what are they stable? Like, how do they treat their wives, for example? How do they treat their wives? I want my son to learn to be a gentleman. So how do they treat their wives? Not just in public, but so like you have to be very careful of people that have public appearances. You have to see a lot of those people in their
That's
natural
correct.
setting habitats, before you choose mentors for your kids. So I look at, stability. Are they stable people? Do they show love to their wife in public and in private? So I watch people, when they don't know anybody's observing them based on, yeah. And then
Yes.
I, I look for strength, masculine strength that is not dominating. I have to say, I look for the things I look for the opposite of what I did not like in my ex-husband. And I look
That's
for the
wonderful.
attributes that I would like my son to have. So for me, I have a good dad. Like, I didn't have daddy issues. So because of that, it's easy for me to I know what a good dad is. Like I tell people, it's easy for me to love God because I, like the love of the father is real to me from what my dad emulates. So for me, it's easy for me to look for those characteristics of a loving dad, a sacrificial dad, one that would listen, is there for the kids. So I see those things and I see what they do to their family. I'm careful with single men. I'm sorry, because at some point there was someone that I thought could be a good mentor, was my childhood friend, but it was becoming a little murky and I just had to look for someone else for my son, So I really look for people in family settings, basically. And it doesn't mean it's not okay to find single people as well who can, but it's for right now, it's my personal preference.
Okay, one last question from the chat room. Why did you stay? Is that because of religion? You think
I
that
have
play
to
a big
say,
part of it?
I think he played a role. I really believe he played a role. And I'll say this. So I was when I was on campus, I was I don't know how, like, I was a vice president of my fellowship, but I was in a Christian union, so they called us mommy, and it kind of felt like, how would it be me that I'd mentored before I got married? I mentored people that were not, that were not married, that were married, even as an unmarried person. And I helped people that were having challenges in their home. So how would it now be me that will come and say I'm having problems in my marriage? And so yes, one of the things that we have to learn is what is religion and what's a relationship with God. And God doesn't want us to be, he doesn't want us to be in that spirit of religion. He wants a relationship. And the more of a relationship we have with God, the more, one of the things that I learned, in all of this, is that him whom God sets free is whom the Son of God sets free is free indeed. And that was one thing, like when I was so down, how would this happen to me? And I remember actually speaking to his parents one day when they said to me, oh, you're allowed to separate, you're not allowed to divorce our son. And I looked at them and I said it to them. I said, him whom the Lord sets free is free indeed. He has set me
Amen.
free. I'm not going back to bondage. And I was very clear with them. So a relationship with God gives us boldness. It gives us clarity. Religion puts
Amen.
us under
Amen.
bondage.
Yes.
Amen. Yes.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so, so much, Tope. Thank you. We really appreciate to hear your story. And I believe that there's people that will listen to that story later on, or maybe that are here with us and that will be touched and know that enough is enough. You can do it. Look at you flourish, and there's so much more to come, and we are so proud of you. And this is what touch length is about. Once again, I cannot stress that enough. Okay, October, this is a walk. October month, this is what we do. So I will encourage, go on your social media, put the touch length org, touchlink.org. Please tell your friend to click the dotted button and to give, like, because you go to the coffee shop, you spend you go to Starbucks, you spend $20, $30 a week. This is for a good cause, because Touchlight is here to help men and women victims of domestic violence. With that, we'll be able to support, to uplift, to do advocacy for these people. So
Thank
we
you.
have a 24/7 number
Yeah.
to write this down. The number, if you ever in need of any kind of help, do not be ashamed. I'm a victim. I've been to the similar story, and Deaconess Yande is a victim. Look at her now. Topi is a victim. Look at her now. Don't be ashamed. Come out. The people outside will say, come out. Don't be ashamed. Don't be in the closet. Don't cry alone. Come out. There's help. We will help you come out. You are not alone. And the number is 866-682-4626. 866-682-4626. Touchlink.org. Click donate. We need your help.
Thank
Because
you so much. Thank you, Sister Stephania, powerful moderation. And thank you so much, Dr. Temitope. I know you don't like to be called that, but really powerful, powerful story. So much to learn. I want to tell everybody there's going to be a follow-up to Tope's story on Thursday. This Thursday, Pastor Dupe Daramola, she's going to be talking about the role of clergy on domestic violence, which is going to be a follow-up to talk about. She grew up virgin, grew up in church, met her husband in church, and then ended up in domestic violence. So Pastor Dupe Daramola, she's a social worker, licensed social worker. She's going to be following up to tell us the role of clergy and how we can also help, people around us that are affected by domestic violence. But everyone, it's been a pleasure. We're sorry that we take some time tonight, but it's worth it. That
Yes.
story is worth it. God will continue to heal you. God will continue to empower you. God will continue to use your story, your mess for his message, your
Amen.
test for his testimony. And you continue to shine for his glory. Yes,
Amen.
love is still out there. I will come on your wedding day in
Yes.
Jesus' name. God
Yes.
bless you,
Amen.
everybody. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Filton,
Thank
for
you.
logging in. Thank you.
God
Thank
bless
you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you
Good
so
night.
much.
See
To
Thank
you.
you.
everyone
God bless.
support
Thank
us.
you.
We
Thank
need your
you.
money.
We need money.
We need
We need
Thank
Thank
support.
you.
We
you.
love
Good
you. We
night.
love
Bye
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
bye.
you. Bye. Bye,
Bye. Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. It's your story. It's the same. I mean, it's yours is a little bit more, but I went to the same thing, So God is good.
He
And
is. He
so
is.
much. God
Thank
bless
you,
you,
Ma.
Gladys.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much.
you.
bye.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
thank you. Jennifer, God bless you. Thank
Mm,
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank
Bye.
you so much. Bye bye.
Thank,
Thank you.
thank you, everyone.
Thank
Eh?
you. Mhm.